2 games old.
Welcome to the Courtside Coffee Podcast, your spot for highly caffeinated tennis conversation. I'm your host, Merlisa, and today we're diving into a topic that baffles me: the Women's Tennis Association's partnership with the Public Investment Fund, or PIF. If you're wondering what PIF is, that's kind of by design. PIF is the public investment fund that's backed by the Saudi Arabian government, and they've been buying up sports leagues like Gucci on BOGO. Remember that Live Golf hostile merger with the PGA? That was PIF. PIF is also behind recent investments, partnerships, and purchases of soccer, cricket, horse racing, boxing, Formula One, wrestling, and you guessed it, tennis. Last week, PIF quietly signed a partnership with the WTA. Now, when I say quietly, I don't mean they went into a back room and sealed the deal away from cameras. They held a press conference and posted the announcement on the WTA website. By quietly, I mean on the eve of the French Open, when everybody was talking about Rafa. They put their story out and posted it on their website and didn't mention the word Saudi Arabia anywhere in the story. Just this great partnership with PIF and how it's going to change the women's game and how it's so great for women's tennis. No mention at all of the Saudi Arabian government. How can an organization dedicated to the equality for women get in bed with the Saudi Arabian government, known for some of the most repressive laws? Now, the Saudis say they made some progress. In 2018, they finally allowed women to drive. Woohoo! But women still can't leave the country without a man's approval. In 2021, Saudi Arabia allowed single, divorced, or widowed women to live independently without the permission from their male guardians. Is that progress? Yeah, I guess. But let's look at how women remain repressed in the kingdom. On International Women's Day in 2022, Saudi Arabia enshrined into law male guardianship over women. Now, what they call this law is personal status law. And under this law, women are required to obtain a male guardianship's permission to get married. Married women are required to obey their husbands in a reasonable manner. They don't really define what reasonable means. A husband's financial support is contingent on a wife's obedience. Yes, this is in the law. And a man can divorce his wife for any reason. If a woman wants a divorce, she has to show how there's been harm to her. And they don't even define what that harm is. Like many sports organizations, the WTA has faced financial challenges, particularly during the pandemic. This PIF investment, it might give them a significant financial boost. I'm sure it will. It could enhance in tournament prize money. They've been trying to keep up with the prize money, which is not equal outside of the Grand Slams. So on the surface, it seems like a win-win situation. But as with many things, it's not that simple. Critics argue that by accepting money from the PIF, the WTA might be overlooking human rights violations and undermining the values that have been fundamental to the growth and integrity of women's sports. Earlier, when the WTA awarded Saudi Arabia their year-end women's championship, that's the big finals where the top players play. It was a hot mess last year, but they awarded this to Saudi Arabia. And that's when Minky Worden, you don't know who she is, but she's a Human Rights Watch director of the Global Initiatives. She wrote in Forbes that Saudi Arabia hasn't earned women's tennis championships. She says this makes women's tennis the latest victim of Saudi sports washing. Yeah, that's right, sports washing. That term has come up. It's when you use sports to redirect public attention away from unethical conduct, meaning kind of trying to buy your way into a new reputation. So enter Billie Jean King. Billie Jean King is a pioneer for gender equality in sports and a vocal advocate for women's rights. She's, the face of the WTA. Now, she expressed some concerns about the influence of money from countries with questionable human rights records, but Billie Jean King pretty much gave the Saudis the green light. She said it's essential to keep pushing for transparency and to use this as an opportunity to encourage positive change. Really, Billie? Billie Jean King is just not a champion for women's rights. She's also a role model for the LGBTQ rights. She must have known that homosexuality is illegal in Saudi Arabia and still punishable by death. Even with the Saudi government proclaiming gay visitors are welcome, how are gay players supposed to feel safe in that? Tennis legends Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova opposed the partnership. Navratilova called the country scary. Martina notes that whether you are a Saudi woman or if you are a tourist, you don't have the same rights as males. So where does this leave us? While financial support is vital, it should not come at the cost of principles. Why reward the Saudis before they show real change? To me, a reward is something you give in recognition of service, effort, or achievement. When money is given to gain favor, I call that a bribe. So let's call PIF what it is, an investment in sports washing, an attempt by the Saudi government to buy themselves a better reputation so people will turn a blind eye at their human rights violations. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Until next time, this is Merlisa, encouraging you to stay caffeinated and keep brewing.